Now, there used to be a time where politics lived in debates, right? Now it lives in living rooms, your workplace, your friendships, your employment status, and apparently your children. Because what you're about to see isn't someone losing a job. It's actually something deeper. It's what happens when ideology replaces humanity.
You seem kind of quiet.
Yes, I want to ask you something.
Hi, hey. Intelligent women.
How do you feel about our country being ran by a pedophile?
Well, you know how I feel about that. It is not a pedophile that we have as a country owners or stop.
How do you feel about the Epstein files being released and that Trump is a fucking molester
No, he is
and
not.
satanic?
Okay. It's all coming out. The truth will come out, and
The
no,
truth already
Trump is
came
not
out.
a pedophile.
Trump is a pedophile.
No, they have not caught anything that he's done.
The files are out. They literally have him with Epstein.
Okay. No, that is not true. Trump is a good man, and he's trying to save our country. It's all going to unfold, and it'll all come out. And like it or not, Trump is really doing good for our country.
Can you believe this? I just gave this.
that I'm not going to give you what
I just gave this lady a ride. I just gave this Trump supporter a ride, and she's still denying it. Like, these types of people. It's open.
Your child, the best that I could. You said I was a great man.
And what does that matter?
Can I have my bag?
It's open.
Oh.
Teresa?
Yeah. I love you, girl. You take care and we'll talk again. Love you, girl.
We will not talk again. You're a Trump supporter. I do not support
If
pedophiles.
that's how you feel, then that's how you feel. But I
Trump
love
supporter,
God, and I love my
pedophiles.
country, and I love Trump. for
Trump is a
everybody to
pedophile.
know. Love you.
Pedophile. Pedophile. Fucking ridiculous ass women like this. I can't believe it. Look at her. It's ridiculous.
Oh, wow. My timer's going off. 1 second. All right. Back to the scheduled program. What do we have here? Honestly, what just happened? A nanny fired, it says, for not for misconduct, but for, not for misconduct, not for incompetence, not for harming a child, but for voting for Trump? Let me read the caption to this post. She did a nanny a favor. She should never have been subjected to that. Liberal fires her nanny because of Trump. I want y'all to let that sit for a second, because the scary part isn't the argument. The scary part is how comfortable she was doing it. Like, this wasn't even a hard decision. Like, this was normal. Like, politics now decides whether you're allowed to exist in someone's space. And that right there, it's not disagreement. That's cultural exile. And it's not isolated, because what you're seeing here is just the personal version of something much bigger. And when people start getting removed from rooms, eventually somebody starts noticing a pattern, especially when the criticism starts coming from the inside of the same circle.
I don't believe any of them have a chance of winning. We can go down the list. Gavin Newsom. Here you are. And we saw what you just said, whether people believe it or not, or, you know, because you got folks on the left trying to defend them, fine. Crime, homelessness, affordability, environment, debt in California, please. You got to convince me. Oh, so you want us to let you run the country, but we see what's happening in California. Good luck with that. Kamala Harris, that's where you come from. You didn't even want to run for the governor's seat in California. You should have been able to win that one. You didn't want that. Okay, we saw what happened during the election. You had 107 days. Biden put you at a disadvantage. That's all true. But your interview on The View sealed your fate. When they asked you, is there anything that you would do differently than Biden? You're like, no, I can't think of anything. Nobody's letting that go. And back to Gavin Newsom. Everybody talked about, you need to move to the center to some degree. Look at it that way. What do? 2 weeks later, you're seen on TV talking about when it comes to transgenders, transitioning from male to female. Even if they're children, you really have no problem with that, with them doing such a thing without parental parental consent. I've said this to numerous people who would listen. If my child is underage, you can't come to my child to tell my child to walk down the street to the store without my permission. How in God's name you think you can do something that's serious without parental consent?
We used to not let them go to a PG-13
Are you kidding me? That is just utterly ridiculous. That kind of soundbite is going to be held against them. So I think that those two right there, they hurt themselves immensely. And I don't think the Democrats wanted Kamala Harris. And I think that that has a lot to do, as you saw her write in her book, she didn't feel like she was completely supported. So how you going to suddenly get the support for 2028 if you could get in 2024? That ain't going to work. Pete Buttigieg, as I said on Real Time with Bill Maher, he doesn't move us.
Yeah.
He just doesn't move us. It's just that simple. All right. And then you have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC. I respect her. I respect her passion. I respect what she tries to do for her constituency in the Bronx, New York. That clip of her in Munich was one of the most embarrassing videos we may have seen.
Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is of course a very longstanding policy of the United States. And I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point, and we want to make sure that we are moving in all of our economic research and our global positions to avoid any such confrontation and for that question to even arise.
Listen, when Mitch McConnell, the former Senate Majority Leader, froze, ladies and gentlemen, we were wondering whether or not he had a stroke. We know he's old. We know there are health issues. That is a vibrant young lady. That is AOC.
Yeah.
Okay. That was not a health issue. You were not prepared. You did not know what you were talking about. And the world saw it. Now, if they had walked up to you on center stage, if they had walked up to you while you walking the streets of the Bronx and just stuck a camera and a microphone in your face and you were caught off guard, that would be different. No, you flew across the world. You flew across the ocean to attend this conference.
To a conference
You understand?
specializing in that.
Specializing in that.
Yeah.
And that was your answer. You can't get around that, and the Republicans are going to have a field day playing that at every turn. Do I believe she has a shot to win the Senate seat over Chuck Schumer down the line? Yes. But her as a world figure, nah. They're going to hold that against her forever.
Now, that's Stephen A. Smith. My guy's been sounding real common sense lately. You sound like a closeted right-winger. I'm just saying. That's Stephen A. Smith, not a fringe voice, not an anonymous account. A mainstream voice saying out loud what a lot of people are quietly thinking. There's a leadership vacuum. And when there's a vacuum, culture fills it, not policy, culture. Which is why stories like the Nanny situation don't just go viral. They resonate. Because people people are starting to feel the tension in everyday life. And some are just getting completely tired of it. Oh, my gosh. And that fatigue is not just theoretical, right? You can hear it. You can actually see it.
Listen, I have this thing that I like to call Democrat fatigue. And what it is I am so unbelievably exhausted of them lying and using lies to fuel their hate. Do you know, if you look up what Donald Trump is actually convicted of, it's really nothing like what they're saying at all. Because hating somebody so much that you want them dead for falsifying records doesn't have a nice ring to it, does it? They don't like how falsifying records really doesn't sound worthy enough for this much hate. So they have to make up a whole bunch of stuff and then throw the rest of us Republicans under the bus with it. And I'm just really tired of it because a Google search takes like 2 seconds. Because I was like, you know what? I'm just going to Google it. So I started Googling everything that they say about him, which I cannot say here on TikTok. Couldn't find anything. I found a bunch of fake articles from some goofballs. Nice source. I actually really relate with Donald Trump, and I really admire him because I get accused of things too, being an entrepreneur and being a Republican. And let me tell you something, those people will make up lies to dismantle you. They are responsible for cancel culture. They're literally trying to cancel our president. And nobody wants to talk about the assassination attempts. I mean, it's so crazy. Everybody wants to call it TDS, but what it really is being a sore loser. Listen, I really don't like Biden, but I have never in my life hoped that he would fail as our president. That is despicable. And I've never made up lies about him. I'm like, I don't like him because of his policy. I don't like him because of his speaking. I have real reasons for it. But I never in a million years would say death to his followers or anything like that. You people are crazy and I'm tired of it. Anyway, I just want to end this by saying that I support Donald Trump and I will continue to do so. I don't believe all of the things that the Democrats are accusing him of because they literally have no proof. And I myself am constantly attacked by the left, so I don't believe them. I'm seeing a pattern of behavior and I'm tired of it. And for people that are on the fence about supporting him, yeah, supporting him is hard because do you see what we're up against? We're literally up against crazy people who make up lies and want to destroy you. It is the truth.
Seriously. Democrat fatigue. And that word keeps coming up. Fatigue. Not anger, not outrage. Democrat fatigue. Now, I actually remember hearing that term first from Maddie. What she's been doing. Recently, I seen a account head got hacked. I hope she resurfaced pretty soon. But yeah, the exhaustion of walking on eggshells. The exhaustion of wondering if a belief disqualifies you from a job, a friendship, or even basic respect. We're tired of it. So we call it Democrat fatigue. And here's where the story shifts. Because when these kinds of, social consequences start happening, different communities begin interpreting it in different ways. The next conversation is one that's getting louder. All right. Especially this month.
I think, one of the biggest misconceptions about black conservatives is the fact that we are ashamed to be black. I'm not ashamed to be black in any way whatsoever. What I would be ashamed to be is a Democrat, to continue to vote for a party that uses and abuses my community, sells us one dream and delivers on it never. Black lives don't ever matter to Democrats. Only black votes do. They think that they're entitled to our vote, that they don't have to earn it. And so I'm proud to be black. I'm more proud to be an American. And honestly, I'm proud to never have ever voted for a Democrat any day in my 23 years of living.
I was going to say you've only voted a couple times.
For so long, every time you've had a conversation about Black History Month, it's always been us focusing on the oppression, focusing on slavery. And it's not that storyline is not true, but it's something interesting that President Trump recently said. He wanted to focus on the triumph, the valor, the way that we showed up in the first Rhode Island and during the Revolutionary War and fought side by side with white men for the independence of this country. Those are the things that I want to focus on.
I think when you talk about black history, you have to talk about all history, not history that is filtered through the lens of how someone views their politics, but the actual reality of what happened. Black Republicans, black conservatives play a huge role in black history. I don't think it actually gets enough attention.
Amen to that. Shout out to my fellow creators. Notice the framing. No apology. No permission seeking, ownership. The conversation around identity isn't as, monolithic as people assumed. In moments like this, like the Nanny situation, rather, they force a question. If political belief can cost someone their livelihood, where does that line stop? Because for some, this isn't about party anymore. It's about narrative. You don't believe me? Come on, man. You know what happens when you don't believe me.
I have a question for the Trump administration, MAGA, Republicans, whoever can answer if you can. How is it going to play out, this attempt at erasing black history, when there's a whole host of us walking around the United States with slave last names? My last name is Woodson, as in son of wood. It's an English surname. Explain that one to the history books.
So, not only is this false, nobody's trying to erase history, but she's incapable of answering the question. Multiple people in her comment section said, "Who's trying to erase history?" And these are her responses. Google is free. Google it. Google it. Where did you get your information? Can you articulate yourself why you're making this claim, or did you just do it for clicks and views in this video on TikTok? If you want to know what partisan framing looks like, this is it. And it's very standard and very typical of Democrats. This is the divisive behavior, right? So you have one side, the left side, referring to things as sanitizing or erasing, when that's not the truth of the reality. And all they're trying to do is rally their troops, rally the opposition. Whereas the common sense side is saying, no, we're not trying to erase history. We're trying to restore balance against a divisive ideology. You can't always play victim. It's a shame. Well, despite the narrative that this individual is trying to manipulate and is stating falsely, Black history, it's still taught. It's still preserved in museums. Stop with the divisiveness.
Yeah. Facts versus feelings. That phrase keeps resurfacing. And stories like this Nanny situation, it pours gasoline on that divide. Because now it's not just about policy debates, y'all. It's about real-world consequences. What is that? It's about real-world consequences. Someone lost their job over belief. And that's why the reaction has gone beyond just internet outrage, because when politics start deciding who's employable, people start wondering, hey, what comes next? What else y'all gonna come up with? Disagreement is a part of democracy, as Democrats like to say, but dehumanization, that's something else. And when belief becomes grounds for exclusion, that question isn't who's right. The question becomes, how far are we willing to let this go? So, if you made it to the end of this video, I want you to write one word. And that word is line. Yeah. L-I-N-E. That way I know you made it to the end of the video. Not even for the algorithm, for me. Y'all be safe. I should be on a plane right now. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So y'all seeing a version of me, but the computer version, digital version of me, which is technically still me. Y'all seeing a Black History version of me. Because this is recorded in the past. Y'all be safe. Go check out somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.